Welcome back to MMA Math with Mike. So today I wanted to take the time to make this video to very specifically go over one subject. This is going to be regarding the Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall, and Dana White situation, or you can say the UFC. Since I decided to take the chance and try out this thing, I've been trying to be more and stay more engaged, especially on YouTube and the comment sections of other MMA YouTube channels. And I do this for many reasons, mostly just because I enjoy the back and forth, I enjoy the debating, but it has become abundantly clear to me over the last few days that it's hard to get that straight back and forth or debate. You really have to be extremely clear how you stand and where you stand on this current position. So I want to be very clear on this. I do not have to like, love, or blindly support somebody to have a massive level of respect for that person. I also do not have to agree with every single thing that that person says or things that they do in their life or even in their professional life. When you put your opinion or your stance on topics into a public forum like the internet, you definitely open yourself up for criticisms and debate, which I welcome both. I also will just be completely honest with my position on all of this and how I feel. I appreciate or like stuff about all three of these guys for accomplishments or things that they've contributed to the sport of MMA. I mean, I could sit here and make a very valid argument that without Dana White, we wouldn't even be talking about MMA. We wouldn't have anything to talk about. Without Dana, I don't think we would even be here. So obviously, I would say that is something that I deeply appreciate and am deeply grateful for. The fact that we have this sport that we all are so passionate about and that we enjoy to watch and talk about. And so Jon Jones, I think it's pretty clear why anybody would appreciate what he's been able to do in the sport, not necessarily for the sport, but in the sport of mixed martial arts. He's had a historic career that you could definitely make a very good argument no one else comes close, or at least in terms of resume, definitely in the two weight classes that he's competed in. You could always make good debates about all-time GOAT across every weight class, no matter. You always have your GSP and Demetrius Johnson, and Anderson Silva was in that debate for many years. I can say that Tom has come along and brought a lot of excitement and a lot of interest back to the heavyweight division, which at the moment is very weak and still. He's a very exciting prospect. I've enjoyed seeing him come along and get to the point where he is now. For all of the things really good that I could say about Dana and what he's done for the sport of MMA, I could probably make an entire video that would be very long about all of the things Dana has said or done through the years that I didn't like or that I didn't agree with at all. It would be covering a very wide variety of topics if we were to go down that route. I mean, everything from fighter pay to obviously a video released on TMZ from his personal life, fighter interactions and ways that he's handled certain situations over the years. I think if you were to even look in your own personal lives at people that you care a whole lot about, you would probably be very hard pressed to find anybody that you agree with 100% across the board on every single subject. So I don't expect anybody to be perfect or to make every choice the way that I would make it, and if you don't, well, you're just no good at all. All the good stuff that you have done, in my eyes, has now been erased and is of no value at all because I don't like these other things that you did. And I would say that if you're a mature adult, you would be able to see why that right there alone is kind of a silly thing. And on John, I mean, I think I could probably make a video just as long as the one on Dana would be of all of the things John has done that have deeply disappointed me. And I've not always been a Jones fan in terms of his fighting. I've rooted against him multiple times, but he's taught me over and over to never root against him. At least not to bet against him, I should say, not necessarily root against him. You can always root against him, but betting against him has went really bad for me in the past. John actually cost me $100 when he fought Ryan Bader and beat Bader because I really thought John just wasn't ready for that kind of test yet. Bader had great wrestling. I wasn't sure if John's wrestling was up to that level, and I mean, John, like I said, he's proven over and over again his level of talent. The Machida fight, I liked Machida for his movement and the way that he brought a different style to the sport. I thought maybe that would give John issues, and I was partially right on that because in the first round of the Machida fight, John did struggle a little bit. Machida did pretty good against him. Just as I would ever get to the point where I'd start kind of liking the guy, or I would actually start kind of rooting for him, one of his many bad things in his career would happen that would deeply disappoint me. Whether it was something that cost a fight that was supposed to happen and never happened, like, I'm probably always going to hold it against John at least a tad bit that we didn't ever get to see the John Jones and Anthony Johnson fight. I really wanted to see that fight. I can also say, because I'm just being honest, Tom Aspinall has been a model champion and citizen as far as I know. I don't follow Tom on Instagram or anything like that, but you never hear about him getting into trouble or having all the types of issues that you would normally hear associated with a Jones. So for Tom coming in and being a good champ and being a good role model for kids that are going to be watching this sport, definitely a lot better than a McGregor, that's for sure. I'm appreciative of that. I really am. I also like that he's brought all of these new fans. A lot of these new fans are obviously from the UK because Tom is huge in the UK. He's obviously from there. My only issue is we really should give the respect to the fighter and the sport to at least know the history and take the time to do just that. Research it, look into it. If you enjoy the sport, those types of things you should want to do anyway. Who doesn't want to go back and watch some old fights from Pride or Pancrase? I love going back and watching old kickboxing matches. Probably about 5 or 6, 7 months ago, I got to watch Dennis Alexio, the guy from Kickboxer. His fight with Mike was a really good fight. It's cool to see those things and to be able to make those connections with camps and coaches and fighters, and MMA is a community in many ways, and a lot of these guys have competed or know each other. It's just interesting to me. I love that kind of stuff about the sport. So for whatever reason, my position on this whole thing seems to be somewhat controversial to a lot of the people that I talk to in the comments. So I personally think that Tom, John, and the UFC could have done things differently or handled it differently. Now, I'll start out with Tom because he holds the least amount of blame for all of this in my eyes. Now, I completely get it from Tom's point of view. You know, he wants Jon Jones.
Keep it the ball!
Obviously, you would want to fight Jon Jones because he's considered the GOAT by many people. He's the current champ, and you would want to be able to prove to people that you're the real champ. You want to beat the best guy, especially when you look behind you in the division and you see the other people that you could possibly be competing against. I think Tom beats anyone in that division. I mentioned Ciryl Gane as an opponent only because he's the name that seems to be talked about the most when it comes to a fight with Tom, if it's not Jones. John is 100% the absolute biggest possible payday that Aspinall could ever have in his entire career. Unless somebody comes along later when Tom's older, like John is now, and it's still, and what's actually available and what could potentially happen, it's the biggest money fight for Tom. If you're Tom Aspinall and you have a family, a wife, kids, a father, all these people that you want to take care of that have supported you and helped you through your career, it would only make sense that you would want to take care of them the best of your ability by taking fights that would pay you the most amount of money, especially when these are just examples. This is just why this is why I'm saying the things that I'm saying. This is why. The Curtis Blades fight, Tom blew his knee out. Now, you've already had to have that knee fixed one time surgically. What happens if you take a fight that's not Jones just because you want to fight, you want to defend the belt, the interim, or even if there is no belt? Forget all the outside circumstances. Let's just say that he were to fight anybody. What happens to Tom if in another fight he blows that knee out again and the knee is never the same? I mean, he just lost the one big chance at a massive payday that he ever had by taking another fight and getting hurt, or even taking a different fight and you don't knock the guy out in the first round and you end up going to the second, third, or fourth round and you have a cardio issue that's exposed. Or, I mean, we've seen it in several of his fights where in exchanges he has his chin up in the air. Somebody cracks him on the chin. It's heavyweight. It could happen. Anybody could get knocked out. There goes that payday. So Tom's not being kept in a cage with a ball gag in his mouth. He could come out and publicly ask or demand a fight. He could have done that before the Stipe and Jones fight even happened. He could have come out and said, I don't care who it is, where it is, I just want to fight. Tom has decided it is best for his career, his family, his legacy, whatever it may be, that his best option is to wait for a fight with Jon Jones. It is what it is. So it doesn't matter if you agree with it or not, or if you like it or not. It's a choice that he had, and it's a choice that he made. You see, recently he's decided to start coming out and saying that he's done waiting, he's moved on, John's retired. You're telling me that Aspinall couldn't have done that before the Stipe fight happened? Of course he could have. He didn't, because the prospect of fighting John, if you're looking at it from legacy or monetary, was the best choice for him to do. It was the best choice. I'm going to wait for this. Again, none of this matters to me if it's right or wrong, fair or not fair.
No fair. No fair, no fair.
Of course this isn't right. Of course it's not fair to Tom Aspinall. But to say that he has no other choice other than Jones, and that he's been forced into this position where he can do nothing else. That's just not true. At least not in my eyes. We're all allowed to an opinion, and that's my opinion on it.
Well, that's just like your opinion, man.
To me, it makes the most sense.